Hello world, welcome to Event Log, a weekly bite-sized vlog where we cover the latest happenings in technology within 4 segments. Again, sponsored by Team Logic IT, North San Antonio, your local IT provider, nationwide experience, and brainpower. Okay, this is round 2. We've made it to the second one. I think we're going to have to do this 26, 27 more times before we make it a habit. And before I maybe get the intro down pat. It's a little bit all over the place, but that's fine. It's so over the place that I even missed to give my name. I didn't even give you all my name. Andy Gonzalez, owner of Team Logic IT, North San Antonio. Let us get this going. So, just gotta do a neat transition here. Boom. Wasn't that cool? So, we're going to cover on the first of the 4 segments. It's called Tech This Out. We've got a neural implant letting a paralyzed person type through imagined writing. So, the pace at which technology evolves is always mind-blowing, but what is interesting is that the mind that is blown can now control the computer. It's going to be interesting when a couple of years from now we talk to our children and we tell them, hey, there used to be a time where you had to use your hands to communicate, whether it was typing on the phone or, you had to actually use your body to communicate with a computer, and at this point it's going to be with our brains. I'm really curious. What is going to be most interesting is to see if there is going to be ways to communicate and code a computer using your brain. How we have to actually use specific commands and coding and scripts to communicate and code on computers. Maybe the future will be we can code using our brains without necessarily having to know the language and commands that come with actually coding. So, fascinating. The people this is going to help the most right now or today is people that are paralyzed, unfortunately, but now they have a method of communicating. I think for a lot they use eye movements for people that might be paralyzed, say from the neck down, but who knows, maybe this is for people that can't even use their eyes correctly. Very interesting. So now we move on to the next segment. Dreaming is doing. Sorry, I gotta read the headings here. Maybe I missed something. Nope. Okay. Yeah. To be clear, this is still even before prototype. So prototype. But soon this will be a thing, and it'll be awesome. Now the second segment that we will cover is Hack Attack. Can I remember it? Yes, I can. I remembered it. Hack Attack. So last week on Friday, this did make national news. Everyone has heard about it. The Colonial pipeline was hacked. When it comes to hacker groups, there is no rhyme or reason as far as who they are, where they might be. Whether they have political backing or national state backing, we'll never really know. Some have been found out to have been backed by other nations, but in this case, the purported attackers were apolitical. So all of that to say, it doesn't matter who they are, what their intentions might be. The fact that they were able to bring down a massive pipeline company. I mean, you can see here's the picture. All of the Northeast in the U.S. I mean, this is incredible. To be clear, from what I'm understanding at this point, the investigation has shown that there was about 100 gigabytes of data that was actually compromised by this hacking entity, which then forced the Colonial company to shut everything down in their network. So they said, we're not even sure to what degree we're compromised. We just know 100 gigabytes were taken. At that point, they just said, shut it all down. Let's just start from the ground up and figure out what exactly is the problem here, and we'll see what happens. Pretty incredible. So what that means is that during all that time where they had to figure out and go piece by piece of their network, taking it apart or doing a deep dive into what exactly happened, what is compromised, all of this is what led to no oil being able to move through this pipeline. So whether we like it or not, a lot of our things are controlled through technology. It's all digitized as far as the information and the instructions and the protocols that allow the physical oil to flow through these pipelines. This is why it's absolutely necessary to have your security protocols down pat, knowing who you're going to communicate with if you think you've been compromised, regardless of whether it's the people at the very bottom level who are out on the ground and interacting with the actual physical operations. If they believe that there's been some sort of compromise of any sort, they have to have the right protocols in place, the right guidelines to make sure that the people that should know are immediately working on the issue. But not just that, but this might be an excellent, an illuminating, educational, what's the word, opportunity for the rest of us. Because if we understand how the network was set up within Colonial, we might better understand ways to make other networks more resilient, or even just this one. I'm sure they're going to be taking another look at how they can build out their networks to essentially set off like cut-off points to make sure that any part of the network that's compromised can be shut down and avoid, a company-wide shutdown. But as always, I mean, with any of these things, I believe Colonial took the most prudent approach, shutting everything down to avoid further compromise. Because that really is the nature of the beast, where you never know how much you've been compromised until it's too late or after the fact. So, very interesting. I believe at this point they've now opened up most of operations. And by the way, the dancing lady here, I'm so sorry about ads. It's really just the nature of websites. They need to get paid. That's why they have ads. Anyway, that could be its own segment, I'm pretty sure. Okay, back to segment number 3, Millibit. The name is a work in progress. Anybody who can figure out a better name for this segment where we give a little tidbit about technology, either history or like a Today I Learned, where you learn a little bit something about technology, come up with something cool and I'll figure out a way to reward you. I don't expect anyone to help until the reward is sweet enough, so that'll be on me for a bit. We'll get there. Anyway, today, the third segment for Millibit is Today in Apple History. Did you guys know that in 1999 is when Apple actually used the name iPhone to buy a domain? So they bought the domain, I think it was iPhone.org is what they bought in 1999. It wasn't until 2007 that we got the iPhone. So for what it's worth, it took roughly two and a half-ish years for it took them around 2.5-ish years to get the iPhone released. I'm assuming that's around the time that it took them to build it. So somebody in Apple knew that either the iPhone was going to come out, or they were just that forward thinking and thought, hey, we might get into the phone business later on. Let's just buy the domain now and avoid getting that taken from under us and having to buy that domain back. Because there are domain sharks, domain hogs, I don't know what you want to call them, but there are people that will buy a bunch of domain names from well-known companies or names closely associated with them and then try to sell them back to them at insane prices. I'm not trying to give you ideas to do that. Ethically, it's in that gray area. I won't hate you for it, but yeah, don't do it. Anyway, so in 1999, when this came to light, people were very curious and thought, well, Apple has abandoned a bunch of other projects under their name, under their umbrella. Who's to say they're going to follow through with the iPhone? And it's really funny because there was a line, there was something Steve Jobs said during the keynote when he was discussing the iPhone, when he first revealed it. He said, we want to reinvent the phone. What's the killer app? He said, the killer app is making calls. It's amazing how hard it is to make calls on most phones. But that wasn't really the killer app. I mean, inherent to the name killer app, the killer app was anybody from around the world could build a useful app or a time-wasting app, whatever you consider to be valuable. A platform where anybody can build applications and sell them to the world, whether it's on an iPhone or Android, is a massive achievement. That is the killer app. The phone call was just the excuse to buy it, not realizing you were buying into a massive ecosystem where you can get your hands on an app of immense value, whether it's Google, IMAP or Google Maps, or any business type of application or productivity type of application. The sky's the limit with apps. I know we've seen app saturation in the store today, but I am very sure there's still plenty of amazing opportunities left to be discovered and created for apps for all of us to benefit from and enjoy. And last but not least, my fellow world members, friends, we have the fourth segment, the Crypto Corner. In the crypto space, I mean, I don't even know how to put this. Every day is a week in the crypto space. Things are moving incredibly fast. The open border nature of crypto, the fact that anybody can hop in and get to work on the outskirts of the crypto network or any cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin, is what allows for such breakneck speed of evolution and improvements. But also this. Elon Musk, through Tesla, he bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin a few months ago. The market was incredibly euphoric from that breaking news, and the price went way up. And then this week, Elon, through Tesla, is doing a sort of backpedal, but not to the sort of degree that's really concerning. Not that Bitcoin requires Elon Musk to succeed, but it's just interesting to note that a multi-billion-dollar company like Tesla wouldn't invest $1 billion worth into Bitcoin without understanding the implications of energy use that Bitcoin requires to secure transactions. There is no such thing as a free lunch. If you want Bitcoin transactions verified, you need energy. There is proof of work, which is the system that Bitcoin uses to secure transactions. And then there's proof of stake, which doesn't require energy. So you might be wondering, proof of stake is therefore the safer way to validate transactions, right? There's no energy, it's better for the environment. Well, here's the rub. If it's not energy, if it's not computers and emotionless mathematics securing the network, it's humans. Proof of stake means whoever has the most amount of money or crypto of that specific blockchain gets to mint the blocks. We are going backwards in terms of evolutionizing or making a money that is indifferent to humans that can control it to everybody else's, chagrin or everybody else's detriment. Allowing the minority who have the most of a money to control it for the rest of us is not the ideal. That is not what Bitcoin stands for. This is why proof of work, aka Bitcoin, is the better, sounder, stronger money. Anyway, all that to say, this Elon Musk tweet where Tesla is now saying they are going to, the wording was, Tesla has suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels. We believe it has a promising future. But this cannot come at a cost, at great cost to the environment. This is all true. It is all true that any technology, Tesla cars, refrigerators, toasters, Bitcoin miners, whatever the technology is, Christmas lights. It doesn't matter. The device doesn't care where it gets its energy. It just needs it. Whatever power grid these appliances are connected to is what they're going to use for power. Bitcoin doesn't care. Tesla cars don't care if it's coal that is powering the entire grid. It's up to the people managing the grid. It's up to society as a whole to agree to shift towards renewable energy and not blame it on the appliance, not blame it on Christmas lights nationwide for the till the conclusion of Christmas, or until you're not lazy, you get over your laziness and take everything down. The idea that one thing is bad for the environment while not acknowledging the rest of the system being the problem is it's convenient. I know Musk is smarter than me. I know the team at Tesla is smarter than me. They had to have known the implications of buying Bitcoin and understanding that Bitcoin is indifferent to what is on the grid or to what is powering the grid. All this to say, interestingly enough, Bitcoin is actually mined roughly 70 to 75% based on renewable energies. That means it's only a fourth of its energy that is going towards fossil fuels. He must also know that. There have been studies on this. If you're curious, I can post them on the description below for your educational purposes. But yes, silver lining here, it is important to discuss the energy, where the energy sources are coming from. It is important to discuss the fact that the grid itself is the issue. How we're powering the grid is the issue. We have to find sustainable energy sources for the sake of all of our collective futures and our generation's futures. Yeah, extremely important conversation. Happy to have it, but we can't cherry pick and say only this thing is the problem when everything else plugged into the infrastructure of the energy grid is also, suspect. Then you have to ask the question, what is worth doing for energy because the grid itself is using fossil fuels. There we go. Had the discussion. Extremely important. Save the environment. We will get there. We will get to eventually all green. And we have finished our second edition of Event Log with Andy Gonzalez, your host, sponsored by Team Logic IT North Central in San Antonio, Texas. How do we wrap this up this time? Anything crazy? Do anything crazy? No. I'm just going to say thanks for checking this out. Please check out my information below in the description, in the chat. I'll put my Twitter and company website, Team Logic IT. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.